recorded.
I saw a video recently, I don't know where it was, Instagram, whatever. But some young woman was making a very profound comment, saying that if you're a Jew today, look at what you went through. Look at what your ancestors went through. When the Israelites left Egypt, it was about 2.5 million people, including the Arab rabble. But that wasn't all the Israelis. Many of them had become ensconced and integrated into Egyptian society, so they didn't come along. When they got to the Promised Land, 40 years later, and Joshua led the next generation into the conquest and settlement of the Promised Land, remember, there have been rebellions where people had died, right? With the Korach rebellion, with the golden calf, a few other things, people wanting meat. So we get to the Promised Land. Each tribe has its own province. A few hundred years later, Solomon builds a temple. People decide they didn't want to get involved in the debt. So 10 of the tribes split, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. Northern kingdom reverted back to idolatry. They were conquered, and they were scattered and spread all over the known world. We don't know what happened to them, but they may return thanks to DNA, right? Ancestry.com, you never know. So, our people are exiled into Babylonia. King Cyrus said, go back, rebuild your temple. Ezra and Nehemiah took a bunch of people. Not all the Jews followed. It's only part of the Jews that were there. And resettled the land and built the second temple. And then, of course, the Romans came along, massacred a lot of us, and we were scattered to the diaspora. For the last 2,000 years, we have been persecuted and oppressed and subject to the Crusades, pogroms, vengeance for the blood libel and the cause of the Black Plague, the Inquisitions, the Holocaust. And here we are, 15 million of us. We're still here. This last week, we had 3 very important Israeli holidays. Actually, the first one was global. It was Yom HaShoah, where we honor the Shoah, the disaster. That's the name they use for the Holocaust. Following that, there was, I always get them confused, Zikaron, which was Memorial Day, Zikaron, remember, and Asmaot was a remembrance of the birth of the new state of Israel, continuing our ancient land. Very important. So, how many Jews today are involved in Judaism? How many Jews attend synagogue? How many Jews get involved in Jewish life? Now, there are a lot of Jews out there that are kind of, I don't know, they come to high holidays and they do Passover. Okay? So they observe at least a little bit. And then there are those of us, the diehards, that show up on Friday night or Saturday morning. And you find that there's always a difference of a crowd. You got this Friday night crowd, you got the Saturday morning crowd, which is okay. The point I want to make, and this week is very important, in order for Judaism to survive, we need to be Jews. We need to practice Judaism. Now, as a rabbi, of course, it's incumbent on me to influence and facilitate people to observe and practice your religion. And I know that everybody's different, and everybody's going to do it in a different way. And that's okay. That's okay. When I was a kid in school, and I see you have this book in the library, we read, in Hebrew school, we read a book called The Still Small Voice. If you're not familiar with the book, it's timeless. But they talk about 3 or 4 types of Jews. There's the Jew that goes to synagogue every day with their parents. You know, this was oriented for kids. There is the Jew that gets involved in social action, helping the poor, doing mitzvah, doing charity work. And then there's the Jewish kid that gets irate when people demean his religion or her religion. The point of the book is that a Jew needs to be all 3 of those people. You need to be proud of who you are, and you need to be who you are. Because what's going to happen in 2,000 years? According to Kabbalah, the Messianic age is going to happen in the year 6000. That is 225 years away. There need to be Jews around in order for us to have our Messianic age. Right? So we need to practice and we need to instill upon our kids all these values of Jewish values. Now, let me retrace this a little bit and say all those ancestors, all those people who died in the name of Judaism, I'm going to lay a guilt trip on you. I'm going to tell you, for their memory, for what they died for, you need to be Jewish. We have it easy here. I know there's some problems. It's going to get worked out. It's getting worked out. Yeah, it was a little tough there for a while. I know Israel's going through a horrible time right now. They really are. But there is no doubt in my mind that it's all going to work out and we will prevail. We always do. We always have. What other group was persecuted and oppressed the way we were? And we still survived. Not only did we survive, but we clung to our values. And that's what saved us. That's what made us happen. That's what made us continue. I heard a saying from a guru. He said, the truth lasts long. Why do you think classical music is still around? Contemporary music, it changes every couple of years, right? Right now, what do you got? Hip hop, EDM, rap. A few years ago, you had grunge, you had new wave, you had classic rewind. If you listen to Sirius, then you had classic vinyl. Then you had the 50s, you had the 40s, the big band and swing. You know, you had decades where you had different. I'm not even going to mention disco. Don't even ask me. But classical music's been around forever, 400 or 500 years. It's still there. There's always, you can always find stations playing it because it's truth. That which is the truth lasts long. Judaism is truth. It's truth because we believe in one God, not a panoply of superstitions. Because we believe that you have to honor the stranger. Because we believe that you need to help those less fortunate than you. Next week, we have a portion, a double portion. The second one is called Kadoshim, which means holy. From the word Kadosh, which means separate. Separate because we don't do things the way other people do. You see that. But a lot of the laws that are mentioned involve dealing with other people, interacting with other people. Yeah, sure, we do the offerings, we honor God and everything. But a lot of those laws are all about person to person. Don't cheat on your weights and measures. Don't put a stumbling block in front of the blind. Those types of things. Help the poor. Things like that. Things that we've clung to, and that is our strength. And our ancestors died for that. So they died for it. We owe it to them to live for it, because it says you will live by the Torah. And that's what we need to do. We need to live by the Torah, because the Torah, God's teaching, will always prevail. Thank you.